知道错了，我以后改，我真改。
来，跟他跪着，过来，跟他跪着，过来。你听见了没有啊？跪着给他，你能跪不跪？你跪不跪？
我知道错了，你原谅我好吗？我知道错了。
不想理你，亚楠。
我知道错了。
亚楠，我给你跪着好不好？我给你跪着好不好？妈，我给你跪着好不好？
The husband lost 890,000 yuan to gambling. The wife couldn't bear it and wanted a divorce. The mother-in-law knelt to ask the daughter-in-law to stay, and the guest bluntly said please don't use moral blackmail. Seeing the daughter-in-law's firm attitude, the mother-in-law became emotional and actually made such a self-degrading move. So what exactly happened to them?
我不太清楚我们俩之间就是发生有什么矛盾，然后走到今天，因为我觉得都是日常的小
事。你觉得到了现在都闹离婚了还是小事吗？那在你看这是小事，什么是大事呢？
我就觉得你天天就上纲上线，
我上纲上线，
动不动离婚，你这个事情就没有什么实质上的事情，然后你跟我说离婚。
Hao Chen told the host that he had been married to his wife for 3 years, and in recent years his company went bankrupt, so he didn't have much savings. The couple often quarreled and bickered, but these were all trivial matters, far from reaching the point of divorce. And the wife repeatedly proposed divorce, which left him confused, not knowing where he was wrong, so he entrusted the program team, hoping they could help persuade his wife.
你自己做啥？你自己不知道吗？
你听，
我做什么了？
你真不知道，浩辰，我是在帮你，因为你现在所有的这种态度、言语，其实都会让他觉得他真的要离开你。
你说你每天都做什么了？钱呢？你把钱花哪儿了？
只是这2年公司不景气而已。
你不要找这个借口行不行啊？
他没说挣钱，他说是花哪儿，我都能听出这个话也
就是我们家可能各种事堆积到一块儿，然后再加上我父亲有病，就是各种花销，后来还有这几年经济不景气，然后其实存款啊被默默花给花没了。
In response to his wife's anger, Hao Chen told the host that because the general environment was bad, he himself didn't have much income. But several sudden affairs happened at home, so their savings were totally gone. Yet his wife is not a materialistic person. How could she ask for a divorce just because he had no money? Seeing that there wasn't a single truthful word from her husband, Yanan was furious.
现在是属于小白脸，知道吧？
小白脸
就是小白脸，不是
小白脸。
全部都是我在
我也就近1年我才在家，我公司好的时候，咱家所有开销都是我开的。
现在呢，别
现在说我小白脸，
现在不就是小白脸吗？现在全部都是我行不行？
身子撑着吗？
你拿钱了吗？
你那点钱只顾咱俩日常开销好吗？
我这台眼都贴着你，行不行？
Hearing his wife belittle him like this, Hao Chen also argued forcefully. He told the host that when his conditions were good before, the company could earn tens of thousands a month. Although the company has gone bankrupt now, he can still earn about 3,000 a month, so how could he be a freeloader? But Yanan said her husband had never brought money home, and all the living expenses were borne by her alone. So where did Hao Chen's money go?
要说实话，浩辰，从上来我都在帮你。
别装了，你摊牌吧，还跟他装啥呢？
我出去玩了，
玩什么？
打牌，喝酒，
只是打牌。
你直接说你拿钱出去赌了，行了吗？
赌博。
到现在还装啊？
赌了，
那相当于你是输了几万块钱。
Yanan told the host that she had trusted her husband very much. But suddenly one day, a friend of her husband came to her and asked whether something had happened at home, because her husband was borrowing money everywhere outside. At that time she was totally confused. When she asked her husband, he said it was company cash flow. But afterward, the records she unexpectedly found on her husband's phone made her furious.
后来呢？你找到他怎么说的？
他承认了呀，他承认他赌博了，抱抱我腿呀，又是哭呀，又是说呀，跟他各种保证呀，说呀，哎呀，我不赌了。
我赌博没有原因吗？我赌博没有原因吗？
你赌博还需要啥原因呀？赌博需要啥原因？
哎呦，
啥原因能造成你赌博呀？
你为什么不告诉他我为什么会去赌博呢？
你为啥赌博呀？
浩辰来告诉我们，你为啥去赌博？
因为压力太大，在家里的压力，公司的压力，
公司没了呀。
Seeing his wife expose his dirty laundry, Hao Chen still questioned her righteously. This left Yanan stunned. What does your gambling have to do with me? But Hao Chen explained that every day he was under pressure from the company, and from his wife and parents, and he really couldn't breathe. After hearing this, if hitting people weren't illegal, even the host wanted to punch him. And I think when you hear the next conversation, you'll want to rush into the screen and hit him 10 times.
他每年都赌，
他就没停过，你的意思是？这个人就是个赌徒。
他死性不改呀，他。
你有证据吗？
我赌没有原因吗？
又来了，你真厉害，浩辰。你这真让我觉得你就是一个赌棍呐。
Hao Chen told the host that because he quarreled with his wife every day, his father was so angered that he had a cerebral infarction and was admitted to the hospital. And his parents had always wanted a grandchild, so he discussed with his wife that they should have a child first to ease the marital relationship. But his wife firmly disagreed. Then he smashed the pot and gambled again. But in Yanan's view, there wasn't a single cent of savings at home, so how could they raise a child?
钱你可以慢慢挣，但是老人的愿望，老人的期望，你考虑过吗？
咱有钱养孩子吗？
我在家乡是为了感受，你考虑过吗？你根本就没有考虑过我，或者说你根本就没有想咱俩要过一个孩子。
好，两位别吵，就你们现在这个状态，我也觉得这个孩子不该要。孩子出生后干嘛？他该是听胎教音乐，还是听爸爸妈妈吵架？
Having worked for decades, even the host had never seen such a shameless person. So in his view, it was absolutely the right decision for Yanan not to have a child. After hearing the couple's statements, the guests in the audience also thought Hao Chun was truly disgraceful, yet he still had the nerve to be so righteous. Who gave him this courage?
你看这世界上哪一个人因为去参加赌去赌去发了大财的？他没有啊。所以你这个是认知问题，还有一些逻辑问题，就非常奇怪。就是那我爸爸妈妈想要个孩子，所以说我们就要个孩子，或者说是我想要个孩子，那我们现在就生个孩子。那我们家里老是吵架，我们俩老吵架，所以我们生个孩子就不吵架了。这个简直是很荒唐的。
In the guest's view, Hao Chun is selfish, only caring about his own ideas, never considering his wife's feelings. Obviously the problem lies with him, yet he shifts the blame to his wife. Worse, in the name of filial piety, he wants to satisfy his parents' wishes and force his wife to have a child. Clearly, all his behavior is like that of a child who hasn't been weaned, so how can he be a good father? And a gambler's words have no credibility. But faced with criticism from many guests, Hao Chun still righteously begged his wife again.
我一次机会好吗？
我不相信你。
咱俩非要走这一步吗？只是因为我赌博吗？
他只是因为你赌博，
不是因为别的事情吗？
能有什么事情？
不是因为你在外面有人的事情吗？
你为什么不说话呢？你要不要解释一下？
我没什么好解释的，我看着他我就恶心。
你就是在逃避
我跟你都没啥好说的。
你就是在逃避
别提下来，别走，你别走，我跟你说，真正不怕影子。
Hao Chun told the host that his wife went to Xi'an for a trip some time ago. She usually likes to show off her looks, and no matter where she goes she takes photos and posts them. But this time she played for several days without posting a single moment. And when he called and messaged, his wife didn't respond. But when he checked a friend's circle of his wife's best friend, he found his wife's traces, and there was a man in the shot. So in his view, his wife must have changed her heart. However, hearing her husband's slander, Yanan couldn't be bothered and directly left the stage. This made the guests anxious.
不想理解你，但是我能理解一种情况，叫我拿这件事情给我自己求得原谅，多一分筹码。我错了3件事，你也错了1件，好，咱扯平。你如果是这个目的，咱尚且可说。你另外一种就是硬泼脏水。我在台上做了这么久了，这么多年来了，他的反应我能看得出来，他觉得你真恶心，是一滩烂泥，是扶不响墙的烂泥，还是渣男，是哪种？我再给你留最后一点机会哦。
In the guest expert's view, Hao Chun had no substantive evidence and was just chasing shadows. If he tried to use this tactic to win his wife back, then he truly wouldn't change in the future. But in the face of the guests' questioning, Hao Chun firmly believed his wife had had an affair. The mother-in-law in the audience saw that her son had angered her daughter-in-law into leaving, and hurried to persuade the daughter-in-law to calm down. Today she was determined to stand up for her daughter-in-law. Surprisingly, she didn't sit next to her son, but sat with her daughter-in-law.
我这个儿媳妇是非常好，也知道孝顺。到这一步啊，我也有责任，儿子当然更有责任。我这儿子我也是个独生子，从小啊比较溺爱。
The mother-in-law told the host that their family being able to marry a daughter-in-law like Yanan was like ancestors blessing them. Because they spoiled their son from childhood, when he was over 20 he still didn't know how to wash clothes or socks, let alone cook, and lived a life of being waited on. But after Yanan married in, her son changed a lot. She originally hoped that if the family had a grandchild, happiness would arrive. But at some point, her son became addicted to gambling and suddenly owed hundreds of thousands. To help her son get back on track, she even used her retirement savings to pay off some of the debt. But you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He couldn't make big money, looked down on small money, and even angered his father into the hospital. Now the daughter-in-law wants a divorce, and seeing her son acting like a dead pig unafraid of boiling water, the mother also became furious.
现在还整你不我是你，你还整你不我是，咋来不了现在啊？
知道错了，
别打赵女士，别打。
这来跟亚楠说，
知道错了，我以后改不多。
就这清明在线了吗？就这清明在线了吗？不是，别生气了，我这是清明在线了吗？那俺这些啥情况现在？
我知道错了，我以后改，我真改。
来跪着，快，给他跪着，快！你听见了没有啊？跪着给他，你能跪不跪？你跪不跪？
我知道错了，你原谅我好啊！我知道错了
我，想理你，亚楠。
我知道错。
亚楠，我给你跪着好不好？我给你跪着好不好？妈，我给你跪着好不好？以后我气死你！以后我气死你！让他跪下。
咱别激动，别激动。
Seeing the daughter-in-law determined to divorce, the mother-in-law completely panicked, beating her son and kneeling to beg for forgiveness. But after watching this performance, the guests in the audience couldn't stay calm. Who are you acting for?
这不叫闹剧，这叫戏啊！这就是戏。这拉着他过来，在这跪，拍脖子、拍肩膀、踹啊，让他在这跪。这个跪有什么用啊？这个跪，这就要跪一下，这就非得要跪一下，跪一下又要自己跪。你跪有什么用？你亚楠，你要的是你妈给你跪上啊？这跪有啥用呢？就是跪，我跟你说，这个跪这个东西，跪这个玩意是道德绑架呀！你跪在别人面前，你给别人难受啊？为什么要跪呢？这是哪儿学来的表演呢？就是
In the guest expert's view, this is using self-harm to make others feel bad and compromise, which is shameful. If Hao Chun can't change in essence, even if he kneels for a whole day and night, will he stop gambling? Will he live well with Yanan? So regarding the mother-in-law's behavior, the guest wasn't buying it at all and thought this was moral blackmail.
我的这种无论如何，就是说让孩子、让儿媳妇能重归于好，是我的目的。
这第二遍，你接着绕开我，我的耐心只有第3次，我不会再三再四。跪难还是还钱难？
我从来没跪过谁，为了儿子现在，他爸爸现在在医院里，我也没办法。
装什么呀？这个跪这个东西就怎么样？我给你跪了，你还要我怎么样？你还钱呀？哪个难？你心知肚明还钱难，所以选择了一个容易的，在这通机取巧。
In the guest expert's view, Hao Chun is a mama's boy, with his mother charging ahead in everything. And precisely because the mother wants to do everything for her son, it created today's situation. However, the mother-in-law also explained that she knew her son's behavior was inseparable from her, so from the bottom of her heart she wanted to apologize to her daughter-in-law, and she wasn't saying that after kneeling she would just ignore everything.
这窟窿就2种，一种是巨大的感情伤害，一种是巨大的经济损。感情伤害就出轨了，对吧？我靠一个跪来把这个事算了。经济伤害就欠了很多钱，赔了很多钱，我靠这一跪算了。为什么？都知道跪容易，没那么好骗。他年轻就好骗吗？
你说的太片面了，
我这个是我说的还难听了。
你非常难听，因为我对我的儿媳妇跟姑娘跟我的女儿一样，我没有对她就是说一跪了也钱不计钱钱传不了了。再说我这儿子确实有错，但是呢，现在我经过这一段吧，他俩感情到这一步，我也有责任。原来我溺爱儿子，这个他改了以后我看他的表现，如果他还跟以前一样不改，我支持我的儿媳妇。
用得着你支持吗？人家想离就离了，用得着你支持吗？你
No matter how the mother-in-law explained, in the guest expert's view, this was protecting her cub. If you really think your son is wrong, then close the door at home and beat him with a stick until he changes, rather than performing here for us to see.
你看你这副样子一点又窝囊的，你看你憋屈的这个样子，哪像刚才你泼脏水的时候那个厉害的那个劲头啊！
哎，老师，他虽说他是做了一些不该做的事，说了一些不该说的话，但是他的初衷是为了挽回亚楠。
你还在盖呀？你现在就是一个一个老母亲到处在这灭火，对呀，你在这盖，你什么也盖不着，你拿着个棉被在这扑火呢，你越搞火越大，你在这不要搞了，你要为他俩好，你走吧。
你可以问一下亚楠，平时我对他咋样？
再绑一会儿是吧？你跟他你们2个人过日子吗？来回来去就是道德绑架。你要看我的节目，你知道我最恨的就是道德绑架。
In the guest's view, besides moral blackmail, the mother-in-law is just adding fuel to the fire. Based on Hao Chen's behavior, those present may not fully understand, but they can basically determine what kind of person he is. Yet the mother-in-law is still whitewashing. It's Yanan who will live with your son, not with you. Your mind is stretching across the Pacific. You're managing way too much.
妈，你对我好我知道，但是吧，我跟他是真的不过了。就算我跟他离婚了，我依然把你当成我半个妈来孝敬。我们俩的事，我们俩自己解决吧。
没有这个金刚钻，别揽自己活。我们不要搞这个事情，他们俩的事让他们俩自己来。强扭的瓜不甜。
With the guests peeling back the layers, the mother-in-law also realized that it was her overmanaging in the past that made her son what he is. With the guests' persuasion, the mother said she would no longer interfere and then quietly left the stage. So will Yanan give her husband another chance?
在咱俩刚结婚没有赌博这种事情的时候，咱俩过得其实挺好的。所以今天我跟你坚决保证，我把这个赌博这个事儿我戒了，我一定坚决给戒了。我好好工作，好好为这个家奋斗。求你原谅我，再给我一次机会好吗？最后一次机会。
咱俩也就没可能了。
Facing her husband's vows, Yanan didn't even wait for the host's countdown and once again left the stage. Obviously, the chill in a relationship doesn't happen in one day. Without many disappointments, how could one be so resolute? As for Hao Chun, he can only blame himself for today's outcome. Gambling feels good for a moment, but when you fall into the vortex, the consequences are unbearable. A word of advice to those still wandering on the edge of gambling. A prodigal son turning back is invaluable.
You know what? In this story, there isn't a single real winner. What the husband lost wasn't just money, but the trust of the entire family. Yanan finally said, "Enough," and turned to leave. And that mother thought kneeling could win everything back. But in fact, it can't. What really makes a family collapse is not gambling itself, but the lies and the avoidance again and again, and the moral blackmail under the name of love. A person who truly wants to change doesn't need to kneel, he needs to act. A mother who truly loves shouldn't beg. She should teach her son to take responsibility. And Yanan ultimately chose to leave. She isn't heartless. She's finally starting to care for herself. In the end, what the husband lost wasn't just money, but the qualification to be trusted and loved. So what do you think? If you were Yanan, would you forgive such a person? Feel free to tell me your thoughts in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.